Hello everyone, welcome back. Thank you for tuning in and being here. And if you're new, welcome to my channel. I hope you'll find these tutorials helpful for you. I'm currently in Florence, Italy, and I'm also studying art here and expanding my art skills as well. And it's always fun to do that. So I'm excited to do a tutorial from here. This will be my first tutorial from Italy in a little studio. So let's see what happens. I have a different setup and I'm using a few different materials from here, which is exciting. I always like to experiment and test. And so I'm using a different canvas, which is really nice. It's like soft and smooth, and they hand make it here, which is really cool. And but I am gonna use something different for my paint today. And if you haven't seen my last tutorial, I introduced my new acrylic paint set, and I'm really excited about these because me and my wife worked really hard about 7 months to create these paints, testing them, and finally I'm able to have a set available on Amazon. If you're interested, they are on Amazon. The link is down below if you're interested. But that's what we're going to use. We're going to use a couple colors from some colors from this set, and I'll show you exactly which ones. And we're going to create a very simple but kind of detailed like a cloud scene with a sun breaking through, maybe some silver lining, you know, from the clouds. And I just want to have fun with the colors that we have here and create something beautiful and very almost like a dramatic cloudy sun sky. So let's see what happens. I have an idea, but I don't know how it's going to turn out. And let's just have fun and see what happens. Let's get straight to it and go over the materials needed for today. Obviously, we need a canvas of some sort, and I'm using a 16 by 20 inch canvas here. Let's go over the brushes we need for today. We need these blending brushes. They are the same brushes, just different color. We need 2 of these for blending. We need some of these artist lock brushes. This is a number 8. It's almost like a rough, you know, synthetic hair filbert style kind of brush, right? And this is a number 4, pretty much the same thing, just the size smaller, half the size smaller. You could see that's what we need. I like to use this in you know, adding detail and blending some of the clouds. I'll show you how to use this. And also a detail brush that you have available. This is a size 0 detail brush. And that'll be it for brushes, very simple. For paint, I like to use acrylics, and we need this paint set. And I'll show you the exact colors we're going to use, but quickly to go over it, we need titanium white, this flesh tint here, medium yellow, scarlet, cerulean blue, phthalo blue, and lamp black. And I'll show you them when I'll show you which one exactly I'm using again. But you know, this set is what I'm going to use today. But if you have paint that you like to use, that's totally fine. Whatever you have available, let's have fun and create something together. And if you are using my primary colors, which are the titanium white, cadmium medium yellow, naphtha medium red, and ultramarine blue, and carbon black. Those are the 5 colors I use for my other tutorials, but you could totally use those 5 colors to create the scene as well. It's basically the same 5 colors, just, you know, since I'm using phthalo blue green shade, phthalo blue color, it's gonna look more towards the greenish side than the ultramarine blue. Ultramarine blue is more like leaning towards like darker purple, you know, color, which is fine. Use the colors you have, and you're gonna get a different like effect, maybe different, a little bit of a different colors, and that's totally fine. Okay, it might actually look really cool as well with these colors. So I'll show you the colors I'm using again. And we need titanium white, flesh tint, medium yellow, scarlet, cerulean blue, phthalo blue, and lamp black. We need a palette, and I have a palette paper over my palette. Once I'm done, I just bunch it up and throw it away. Very nice and easy, saves a lot of time. And a palette knife to mix your paint. We need any water jar to put your brushes here so that they won't dry out. And we need some paper towels. And if you have a hair blow dryer to dry out your first coats, you can use that. And that's what I'm going to do, and we'll get to that. I'll show you the best I can, step by step, to every part what I'm doing. Now all these materials are available and there's links to them down below if you're interested. Okay, let's get straight to it, and I'll describe quickly what we're going to do here. So we're going to start from the furthest distance and work our way closest, right? So the furthest is the sky, and I'm going to add the dark blues here, like the phthalo blue here going into lighter blue up here. Also, as same here, darker going into light here. But then I'm going to have like a little fluffy cloud going around like this, and then some other clouds around here. And then that's where the sun will be. Like the light is it's going to be the brightest here, you know, somewhere around here. And then you're going to have that nice silver lining around the clouds. And let's just play with it and see what we can create and have fun. Okay, let's pick up our titanium white and we're going to create shades. And we're going to start quickly adding in the blues, the background, and shaping our clouds and adding like as a base coat. We're going to quickly do that, and then we're going to go and add more layers, okay? So let's pick up our titanium white and we're going to create about 4 to 5 shades. And I'm going to squeeze right here about this much, about almost 2 thumbs of paint. And I go each time less, so less and less each time. Okay, right there. And we might add more, but for now that's good. I like to start with a little bit and then you know, mix my colors and see if I need to add more. Let's create our blue shades first. So let's pick up our Cerulean Blue, and I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it, and if I'm pronouncing it right or wrong. You know, if I'm wrong, please forgive me, bear with me. I am learning as well. Okay, let's continue, and we're going to add a little bit on this. Well, let's add a little touch on this side, a little more over here, a little more here. Okay, like this. And now we're going to pick up our Phthalo Blue. And each time I'm putting the lid back on. I don't want my paint to dry. So it's important you do that. Phthalo Blue. And let's add a little bit here. And then a little bit more here. And then I want to add some right here. Okay, like this. Now let's pick up the flesh color and add it right here a little bit. And then we're gonna add a little bit in here. And then also let's add a little bit more right in here. Okay, like this. All right, and now let's pick up our Scarlet and add a little bit in here, and then a little more in here, like this. Okay, and maybe some right here, like this. Very small amount, as you could see. And then we're gonna use our next color, yellow, medium, right here. And we're gonna add it a little bit in here, and maybe some in here. Okay. Let's pick up our final color, lamp black. And we're gonna add some right in here, very small amount, and add a little bit in here as a dark one. All right, let's quickly mix everything and then we can always add more. Okay, let's just see what colors it gives us. So I got my palette knife. I'm gonna start with this lightest color. Quickly mix that in. That's nice, I like that. Okay, next. Should be similar, but a little darker blue, because we added more blue, remember? We're making a transition from light to dark blue. That's what we're doing. And by adding white, it helps us to do that. Next, we added Phthalo Blue to this one, so it should be even darker. And it doesn't have to be exactly like mine, you know, it doesn't have to be perfect. So we just want a basic transition from light to dark. As long as you can have that, it will work just great. And next here should be even darker. You could see the transition is starting to happen. Very nice transition, right? That's what we want. And maybe take part of this and mix it in with your last Phthalo Blue color right here. That's perfect right there. Okay, and I'm looking at this and I think I'm going to add more Phthalo Blue. Just a little more. Because I want to make sure I cover the canvas nicely. So, the whole canvas. So I added a little more, you could see I squeezed out a little more. So you got about, you know, 3 thumbs of paint on almost each pile here. Like this, okay? Let's quickly clean our palette. I'm using a paper towel so I won't carry too much of the blues, and it doesn't have to be perfect. And now let's mix our warm colors. So these are the cold colors and these are the warm colors. Gonna mix that in real fast. You get the nice pink color here. Nice with a, you know, orange shade to it. I like it. Okay, moving on. Should be a darker color, and I think I'm going to add white to this as well. So let's quickly do that before we continue. I'm going to add some white so that the colors won't stand out too much. Very small amount of white on each. I'll show you exactly. So I added a little bit here and a little bit here, you could see, and I think I already had some here. I'm not sure, but if I didn't add that, it's right there a little bit, okay? I just want to make sure it's not too vibrant, the red. There you go. That's nice. Much better. So before I mix that, I'm going to quickly continue and mix this one. I think what I'm going to do here is add a little bit of white as well. Actually, let's just add the flesh tint to it. Right there. It's going to be our darkest color. I might mix some more colors, but for now let's use what we've got and add our clouds and cover our base coat. There you have it. Oh yeah, mix this one real quick. Okay, all the colors are mixed and they're right here. That's what we're going to use as a base coat. And let's pick up one of our blending brush and our water and dab it in the water. That's what I don't add any mediums to my acrylics because I had many people ask if I add anything to my acrylics to keep it from drying so quickly. I don't, because I've tried that before and it just makes it chunky, and I didn't like the effect of it because some areas would be too glossy and others would be like matte, and it didn't really work for me. I didn't enjoy it. But with water, it gives you the nice you know, dry time because you're able to you know, play around with the colors a little bit longer. It works pretty much the same, doesn't dry as fast. But once you get the hang of using the amount of water with your acrylics and playing it on the canvas, once you get the hang of it, it becomes very easy and a lot of fun. But it just takes practice. And so with water, I like it because the effect after it dries, it's all like the same. It's not chunky or anything like that. Okay, so I added some water, right, to my brush. And it's not dripping, so there's some water, but not too much. And I'm gonna start with adding my, let's start with adding the lightest color. So we're gonna cover the sky right here real quick. So I'm gonna start with this lightest color and start from this corner. Okay, pick it up. You could see my brush is a little wet and it's easy to move the paint around onto the canvas. So I'm gonna randomly put it right in here. Doesn't have to be perfect. So I'm going to dab my brush just a tip in the water, and I always do this, and you don't want to spend too much time, just very small amount, the tip, before I pick up my next color. And once I have that, I'm going to pick up my next color, the lighter blue, and add it. It's okay if you cover it. It's supposed to make the nice easy transition, right? And this is our base. So we're quickly adding that there. Next color. My brush is still wet, so I don't need to really add too much of the blue. So I'm gonna pick all that up, put it right in here, dab my brush just a tip in the water. And this part you want to work quicker because you don't want your paint to dry. So usually I work really fast by adding my first layers onto the canvas. So I'm going to add, so remember there's going to be some clouds here, so you don't need to worry about trying to cover everything. So there you go, right there. And now I'm going to dab my brush in the water, just a small tip, and then take the darkest color right here and randomly add it right in here. Okay. Do the same thing here. So we added more blue right here. Okay. And now I'm going to straight to my other color. I'm not gonna, not gonna clean my brush yet. And I'm gonna add it randomly right in here, right on the top right here. Our clouds are gonna be here, so it doesn't have to be perfect. Maybe some red right in here. So I'm gonna dab my brush, just a tip in the water. Some red right in here. Okay. I think I'm gonna add some red right in here as well. Okay, maybe some in here. These will be the clouds. Okay, and then the darker red right here, the cherry color, I'm going to add it right in here. Cover everything. Same thing here. Maybe add some red in here. Dab my brush in the water a little bit and use the final color, this gray dark color, and cover the rest right here. Doesn't have to be perfect. This is a quick, we're adding a base coat, covering our base. So you can see I'm randomly blending everything, not covering too much because I like the blue, but like this, okay? And now once I have that, I'm gonna quickly pick up my other blending brush and work dry and start from the lighter areas and lightly swirl and blend everything. Blend everything in easy. Very nice and soft. And I swirl it using my wrist and carrying the paint upwards and slowly blending everything in. And it doesn't have to be perfect. This is a first base and you can see it's a little messy. That's okay. We're going to naturally let the clouds happen the way, wherever you placed your colors, it's going to naturally blend in, and this is the base coat, so we're going to come back, but go over the lighter areas first and blend it all in. don't spend too much time. Quickly blend in so you could have a nice smooth transition to take away the brush strokes. So I'm going to go in here, blend in this area quickly. Okay. And then go in here, blend in the darker areas. You could see the nice smooth transitions going on. That's what we want. We want soft clouds. We don't want sharp brush strokes. And that's what this blending brush helps. It takes away the roughness once you added the colors. Blends in everything nicely. There you go. Last area, and we'll be good to go. So you could see I'm not pulling this dark paint too much into my blue because I want to save some of the nice bright colors right there of the blue. I'm gonna work around it. And there you go. Nice quick blend right there. So while this dries, I'm going to quickly clean out my brushes and then also use my hairblow dryer to quickly dry it out, and then we'll continue. Okay, my brushes are clean. I got a new water jar right here, and I used the hairblow dryer to quickly finish drying. It's important that you finish drying your first coat, because if you start adding more layers, you might tend to scrape off the old paint. So just make sure your first layer is dry, so we can continue and add more details. We can kind of start to see the shapes of the clouds, and we could see where the sky is, right? Like you could see the blue area, and for you it might be different. Maybe you made your cloud a little bigger here, maybe you made more room for blue here. That's totally fine. However naturally yours was created, just follow it. Just trust it, follow it, and have fun with it. So now let's mix our shades to create more colors, and then we're going to create like shapes of clouds and add more detail to this. Okay, this is what I added. A little bit, you could see, very small amount of colors. We don't need that much. So I added some white, the flesh tint, and then the blue, the Cerulean Blue, and then the white, same thing, the flesh tint, a little bit of red, and some yellow, cadmium yellow. And then the same blue here, Cerulean Blue, and black, lamb black, okay? Let's quickly mix the first one and see what it gives us. And sometimes what I do is once I'm done, like especially when I'm painting big or like when I'm adding so much color, sometimes it's easier to just throw this away, the paper palette, and start a new paper palette, and then you can continue adding details. Because I like to work in sections, so I got my first section done. Now I can come back either tomorrow or whenever I am ready to continue adding details, and get a new palette paper, and start fresh. But totally up to you. Now we're gonna mix our next color here. Gonna give us this like a pinkish orange color, right? Okay, next it's gonna be a darker color, darker, almost like bluish gray. Okay, let me see if I need to add any more. So I cleaned my palette knife, and then I added the flesh tint here, and then a little bit of yellow to the blue. I want to make it a little more green. Yeah, right there. For fun, I want to make my sky colorful and fun. Right there. Okay. All right. Now, let's just have fun and start adding these colors, and then we're gonna add more colors if we want. But first, I'm going to let's pick up our number 8 dab it in the water all the way, and then squeeze it out a few times. Make sure it absorbs the water and becomes nice and damp. So there you go. And then let's start with this green, right? Let's just play with this green color right here. And what I'm gonna do is start adding some green color, some green. So I'm gonna take away a little bit of the water. You can see it's a little too wet, so I just dabbed it in the paper towel. And I'm gonna pick up more paint and start from this corner and randomly add some clouds. Doesn't have to be perfect. So I'm gonna blend all that in, blend it in with my blue, and then maybe some in here. Okay. Some in here. And you can see I'm adding the colors, but I'm also swirling it and blending them out so you can be a nice smooth transition. It won't be so sharp. Maybe some in here as well. Who knows? Add some red in here, blend it all in this area. Since my brush is a little damp, it blends in a little bit of that color into my blue, which is very nice. Okay, nice and easy, adding a little bit of green. All right, so I'm gonna continue on this side. Blend this out a little bit. Right there. Okay, that's good right there. Let's continue and add some red in here. All right. You could see I'm swirling and adding in the lighter colors right behind, around my clouds. In some areas I'm going to add it very bright, in some areas not so bright. You can see I already created a shape here, so I'm going to create another shape going in like this. Maybe, you know, it goes around right here. It comes out like this. Okay? Maybe here, you know, there's some clouds behind rough ones. So I'm going to add some in here. Some in here. I'm going to continue doing the same thing. Blend it out like this. Very nice. I like this color. So now I'm going to dab my brush in the water, very small, just a tip in the water, so it will be damp and not too wet, okay? And if it's too wet, just dab it in the paper towel and then pick up more paint and continue. We're shaping out our clouds right now, so I'm going to add, see, I added a little too much water. The way I can see it is, I could see how wet and shiny it is, and in order for it to, you know, blend in nicely and smooth, I want to make sure it's not too wet. So I just gonna take this up a bit like this. And carry the paint around, play around, you know, blend everything in. Maybe it goes down here, who knows. Okay, continue with that green, and let's add some big ones right in here. can see my brush is a little wet, so it blends in nicely. Carries the paint around. I'm moving it around just with a little bit of water and some paint. So I'm gonna have the go down here and then maybe go up, back up right in here and fade it out. I think I'm gonna add a little bit in here. And some areas could be rough, so let it naturally happen. Let it naturally all blend in nicely. And create your own shapes. So now I'm going to add a little bit of this green color right in here. Maybe connect it here. I want to really make this area glow. And fade it out. It doesn't have to be perfect. And lightly blend everything in with your background color. Okay. There you go. Moving on. With the same color, the green, we're going to go around here and we're going to create outlines of the shape of the cloud that we see, right? We see a cloud right in here going around, so that's what we want to do. And blend it in. And this is just a sketch. We're shaping out our clouds and then we're going to come back and add more detail to them. But with the green, we are going over and adding the necessary details. So I'm going to make this a little bit brighter here. And I'm playing around. I don't know how it really looks, so I'm just having fun and adding in my colors. Here I'm going to add more green. And have my brush lightly in the water so it won't dry out. Pick up more paint. You can see it's too wet, so I'm going to dab it onto the paper towel. Pick up more of this color and right here around where the blue is. So I'm going to dry out my brush onto the paper towel and blend everything in. Now you could use the blending brush. Once it's dry, you can go back and with your blending brush, if it's dry, you can go back and swirl it and blend it easier. I usually do that when I'm working on bigger sections, but not necessary. You don't have to. Whatever works best, the way you like it. Since this is a sketch, I'm not worried too much about adding too much detail for my first layers. So I'm adding my shapes of the clouds first. I'm gonna make this area super bright right in here. And fade it out. So it could be smooth. And in this area, I'm going to make it bright. Okay, I think I'm going to add a little bit in here. And fade it out. Blend it all in. Do the same thing here. Blend it all in. That's good enough for now. We'll come back and add more detail, but for now, this side's good enough. With this green, I'm almost done with it, but that's okay. We don't got much left. I'm gonna add some in here. And we're going to add a different color. Okay, I'm going to dab my brush in the water. Use this green again and go over some of this area right here. And what I'm going to do is add a little bit of this green in here. Maybe have it come out like this. Maybe some in here. Shaping out my clouds. Alright, I'm going to quickly dry my brush out and blend everything in. Take away the brush strokes. Because my paint is wet, it's easy to move it with my brush. That's why I add water instead of any mediums. I think it works better once you get the hang of it. Alright, we got the green part pretty much done. I'm going to add a little bit more in here. Some little ones. Maybe attaching on this side, who knows. For fun, let's add a little more in here. Okay, so we quickly have our first layer of the shape of our clouds. It's a little messy, but that's okay. We're gonna now add a different color. Actually, I'm gonna add a little more in here of this green so that this won't be so empty. Okay, a little more. I have a little more on over here. And we're going to fade it out. Okay, that's good. And a little more in here. Blend it in the back. Okay, now we can continue. I think I got my basic shape there. So I'm gonna dab it in the water and let's continue doing the same thing with this orange. Let's see what it gives us. With water and orange, I'm gonna dry my brush out a little bit so it won't be too wet. You can see I still have some water in there, but I don't want too much. And I'm gonna do the same idea and go over some of these green areas and blend it in together and create a little more color into my clouds. So I'm randomly adding this color, okay? I want more of it in here. I want this to be, you know, more colorful here. Blend it all in. I have no plan how my clouds are going to turn out. I'm adding colors and blending everything in. I'm going around my clouds, shaping them out right now and see what it gives me. So you could see I quickly added the color and then I go back and blend everything in so it won't be so rough when it dries. All right, you're starting to get more of that glow going on, and that's what we want. I want some in here as well. I want this glow to be in here. So I'm softly blending everything in. Okay, that corner looks good. Let's continue and add some color in here. So with the green, you could see it creates a nice brighter tone with our green. So let's add this color here and fade it out softly. So I'm going to do that same thing here. Go over the areas you want it a little more brighter and don't overdo it. Just on the areas, some of the clouds. some here. Okay, I like this color going on here. I think I'm going to add some with the green in here. And then fade it out. Go up a little bit, fade it out. You can barely see it, but we're going to add more color later to it. And let's continue. Let's continue from here. Dab my brush in the water a little bit. Pick up more of this color and continue playing around. ran out, so I added a little more of this flash tint color. Let's continue. And I want to add some bright ones right in here underneath. Make this area stand out. So this area is going to be very bright, so I'm going to, for now, add, this color here first. We're going to come back to that area. I'm going to clean my brush a bit and fade out. Little in here. So I'm going to continue with this color and a little bit of water, and I'm going to go over some of these areas and add a little bit, a little bit more detail inside the clouds and fade it out, but not too much, not as bright as the outside of the clouds here, right? And the way to do that is don't pick up too much paint and a little bit of water. A little bit of water and this color. And I think I'm going to add some in here and just blend everything in so it won't be so dark in here. So it'll look fluffier, maybe add a little brighter, some brighter clouds right in here. Wherever you want them, but just keep in mind that your light is right here and it's hitting all these other clouds around it, okay? I'm gonna add a little bit of this blue here. So it's the, it's white and cerulean blue. If you run out, a little bit of it, very small touch. And we're gonna add a little bit of this blue inside this. I'm going to fade it out in here like this. I'm trying to make it more fluffy. Okay, I'm going to dry my brush and quickly blend everything in to take away the brush strokes. And let's see what it gives me. Very lightly. Okay, I'm going to do a little bit of that as well. I want to do it right in here. And fade it out. Let's add a little more of this blue in here. Fade it out. You can see it's a very small amount. It's mainly water. Oops, a little too much water. Pick up a little bit of this lighter blue color here and add some in here. There you go. Now here I can go back to this orange, this tint, flash tint color, and add a little more red in here. Move the paint around. Once you're done moving the paint around, go over it softly and blend it all in. Maybe add some brighter ones right in here. You could see the shapes of the clouds are starting to appear more they're becoming more fluffier because we're adding, little by little, we're adding more detail to our clouds. And it takes time and patience, so don't rush it. Enjoy the process and see where it takes you. So now I'm going to add a little bit in here. Maybe have this go up a little bit like this and fade out. Okay, now I'm going to clean my brush and use this darker one right here, this darker pink that we have mixed with water. And I'm going to go over on some of these areas, for example red in here. I'm going to add some in here, mix it in roughly in here. You know, we're creating color, we're adding color to our clouds, and we want that. Maybe some in here. Lightly blend that red in. Creates a nice glow. Maybe some in here. And maybe some in here. And fade it out. Going to add a little bit of red in here for fun. Maybe some in here. With my clouds that are up in here. I'm going to dab my brush lightly in the water, dry it out with a paper towel so I won't pick up too much water, and then pick up more of this color and maybe add some in here. You can see it's a little darker. We don't want to cover too much of this area, but a little bit. And then maybe with a blending brush, this is where you can use your dry blending brush to quickly blend out, you know, the roughness of your brush so that it makes it easier. It creates a nice glow effect of that orange, okay, like this. And then we're going to continue in adding some in here. Maybe some in here too. A nice transparent glow. Okay, that's good enough for now. We can always come back to that later. Now let's move on to this color that we have mixed. And now we can create darker tones, and then we're going to go back and detail the clouds a little more. So let's add our darker tones. So I want this to stand out a little more. So I'm going to go ahead and, add my darker tones a little bit in here, and then a little bit in here. So I'm going to dry it out with a paper towel and lightly blend it in so that it won't be too strong. Okay, continue. We're going to add some in here. And then some inside here. Let's go in here and add a little bit of the darker shadows from this cloud. Lightly blend it in. Maybe in here. Dab my brush in the water, dry it out, and then I'm gonna add some in here a bit. Let's add a little bit more of this darker color that we have mixed right in here. I want to add it right with this green, lightly. And maybe some in here. There you go. Okay, now I had to dim the light because the sun was coming here and it was glowing on this side for you guys to see better. But I added titanium white and yellow and a little bit of that flesh tint color, and I'm going to mix that in real quick. And we're going to add more details to our highlights. So now this is where I'm going to switch my brush, dab it in the water, and use the number 4. Make sure it's nice and damp. And I'm going to start with the white. And remember this area, I want this to be super bright, right? So I'm going to add the white right in here. We're going to make this very, very, very bright. Go around the edges and add that white color. I'm going to dry out my brush and quickly blend everything in lightly. Okay. Now I'm going to pick up this yellow and let's add some yellow with the white for fun. Go back to the white and dim it down a bit so it won't be too strong. Add a little bit of yellow in here. Okay, come back to the white. I want this area to be very bright, okay? Add the white in here. Let's add some in here. Mix it in with the yellow a bit here for fun. And let's add that right in here. Make it glow a little bit. Pick up the white. And randomly add some in here. You could see I'm playing around with my clouds. I can always come back and, change them up the way I want them to look. So I can come back with the darks and the lights here and play around and, create my my shapes and the lights and whatever I want. So it's totally up to you. So here I'm going to add very bright light because the light is hitting this one. So with the white, you can add it wherever you want it. Come back to the yellow and white, mix it in maybe so it won't be so strong. And I'll add some in here. With the white, let's add some in here, remember these ones? And go over some of these and add the highlights on them so they won't be so plain. And blend it out because it's smooth. So add a few. You don't have to do it too much, but very few. Maybe fade it out in here. here. I'm going to continue adding the lights right in the corner here, and a little bit some in here as well. I want this to look a little fluffier. Remember this green we added inside, but I'm barely adding that color. Barely adding, so I'm adding a bit of white and water. Maybe bring it down here. Let's add a little more in here. So white and water. Maybe some in here. And then I want to add some bright ones in here, maybe fade it in. These are out there, far away, you know, fading out, and they want to be a part of the bigger clouds, but they're too far away, so they can't. So I'm going to continue using white, and I'm going to add some in here. So here I'm going to add some white and a little bit of yellow, mix it in together, and add some brighter ones in here. And then some even more brighter ones with yellow and white in here. Make this a little bit brighter. I'm gonna dab my brush in the water lightly and dry it out with a paper towel a little bit so it won't be too wet, and continue doing the same thing here and add underneath. I want to add some underneath. And a few white ones in here. Okay, let's continue and let's add lamp black and scarlet red and mix that in. This will be our darkest color here. And we're gonna add some darks now so that we can build some contrast. There you go. Now we're gonna pick up our number 8 brush, dry it out with a paper towel, and then my brush is a little damp because it was in the water. So now let's pick up this darker color and we're gonna create a few darker ones in here. Actually, let's pick up our number 4. That way we can create, you know, some details. So same thing, but just a size smaller. And let's create some shadows right underneath here. Now let's just fade that out. Okay, and then some in here. Okay, let's continue and add it right in here. So I'm going to dab my brush in the water now, clean it out a bit, and work with water and paint that's already on my brush. And I'm going to blend the darks into the lighter areas, so it won't be so sharp. There is no right or wrong, so have fun and blend around those edges. Maybe add some darks in there for fun. There you go. Okay, moving on, doing the same thing. We're gonna add some right in here. I want this one to be very dark, so I want this to stand out and fade it out, and then maybe attach it right in here and fade it out like this. Okay, moving on. I'm going to add, so I like this, I don't want to overdo it, so I'm going to continue adding the darks in here. So maybe add a little bit in here and fade it out, and then let's add some in here. And I want to cover this area as much as I can with darks. So maybe it comes like this. So I'm going to add the darks in here. And a little bit more right in here. And then fade it out. So I'm going to clean my brush so I won't have too much black, and then softly dry it out, and around the edges, like I always do, blend it all in and add a little bit of the darks around. Okay. Let's continue adding more of this darker tone, and let's add a few more. I want to add it right in here. I want to make this stand out a little more, this cloud. maybe right in here as well. And fade it out. Okay, I'm going to clean my brush, dry it out with paper towel, and then work dry, damp. And I'm going to blend those colors in. Clean out my brush again so I won't have too much water. And blend all those in. Let it naturally go to its place. Maybe a little bit in here. Clean my brush out. And blend everything in. And add a few more details wherever you want them to be. So maybe a little bit darker in this area. Maybe some dark tones under the lighter ones here. And then of course you can come back and detail with these colors, either this one or the light blue one, to come back and add a little bit of more light to your clouds and fluffiness. And for example, I'm going to add some in here, maybe go in a little bit in here. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Add a few details with water and the same technique. And I want to make a nice smooth transition and more fluffy clouds. For example, right here, I want to make this brighter, so add a little bit in here with the blue. And it doesn't matter, play around with color, choose your own shades, and colors. And go back and add some more detail. And that's how you get the smooth clouds and smooth transitions, is by adding layers. So once you sketched out your clouds, you can come back and and detail some more and play around. little bit in here. I think I'm going to add a little bit of white, titanium white, right in here. Attach it with this one. So this area would be light as well. Maybe even add some in here. You can see I'm going back and doing the same thing, but adding more lighter colors, lighter tones and darker tones, you know, doing the same old thing. So I'm going to go back in here and add a few more details. Make this a little lighter and brighter. little bit in here. And break my clouds a little bit. Close that in a little bit so it won't be too bright here for fun. Now I'm going to dry my brush and blend, doing the same technique over and over, playing around, seeing what I like. And if I don't like it, I could always change it by adding white. Add a little bit of dark in here. Once I added all the details I want to my clouds, I can come back and obviously play around some more. But let's continue, and the final step is with our detail brush. This is totally up to you if you want to do this. With a detail brush and some white, we're going to go over our clouds all over and you know, draw in the shapes of our clouds and you know, the brightest areas really quickly. And that's totally up to you if you want to do this. I really like making my clouds stand out, so I'm going to do it real quick. Alright, I can go on and on detailing, doing the same technique, you know, going back and blending everything in, the colors I want on here. This is a quick sketch. Now you can come back to it the next day and add more details. Take your time. There's no rush, and have a lot of fun. Create your own patterns of the clouds and blend it in as much as you want. I hope this tutorial was helpful. Thank you so much for tuning in and being here. Please be sure to share and subscribe and tune in for more. Take care and God bless.